Hi everyone, my name's Emily. I'm part of the events and marketing team here at Ecruising Travel. This video marks the first of our Fan Friday segments. Robert is one of our #1 fans, and we have to say we are certainly one of his #1 fans as well. Robert's the winner of multiple awards on our annual POSH Club cruise, 2 years running for most cruises booked with Ecruising, and then last year for the most referrals. Welcome, Robert.
Good morning. Thanks, Emily.
No worries. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. You're certainly obviously one of our top cruisers, and we love hearing all of your incredible travel stories. So we've got a bit of a Q&A lined up for today,
Sure.
so we'll just get back into it.
Sure.
How long have you been part of our Ecruising POSH Club?
Well, we've been part of the Ecruising family for 8 years, and we've been part of the POSH Club ever since it started.
And what's your favourite part? What do you love most about our POSH Club?
Oh, I mean, a lot of things, but probably the annual POSH Club cruise, which is organised obviously once a year, different destinations, all the functions on board, the ability to meet people who are like-minded, who can talk about cruising and enjoy cruising, the specialty restaurants, the off-board activities that are organised. Last year we went to the Mona Museum as part of the cruise, and this year the POSH Club annual cruise will be to Barossa Valley, or from the Barossa Valley, and then a cruise from Adelaide through to Melbourne, and we're very much looking forward to that.
And we're very much looking forward to it. I know we had a great time last year on the POSH Club cruise, and this year, fingers crossed, all going ahead, that we get to get out to the Barossa. I certainly love, getting out and getting to know, all the members of our POSH Club. So, and we love it as much as you guys do. So, thank you so much for being a part of that. When did you guys go on your first cruise with Ecruising, or first cruise, and then maybe first cruise with Ecruising?
Our first cruise was 11 years ago. It was a short cruise. It was on Queen Mary 2 from Auckland to Sydney. In those days, they didn't have short cruises. It was a part of a long sector. And our first cruise with Ecruising was our 7th cruise, and that was 7 years ago. And yeah, we've been part of the family ever since. And
you mentioned that you do love the shorter cruises, the 3, 4, and 5-nighters. Why is that? What do you love so much about them?
Oh, it's a great long weekend, just a great time away. Often it's Friday till Monday. If it's a 3-night, Friday till Tuesday. You're on board Friday. You've still got internet if you want. You've still got phone if you want. And you have a great weekend, great time, all the entertainment, all the food, everything else, shows, activities. And back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're only taking a couple of days off work if you're still working. So it just makes a very good time away.
How far in advance do you typically book out your cruises? I know we've definitely got a few booked up for you now, which
Yes.
Obviously all things going ahead, we can get you back out on board again. But yeah, how far in advance do you normally book your cruises?
Well, a lot of the cruises we book as soon as they're announced, and the reason is that generally the prices are lowest as soon as they're announced. Then they tend to go up, and then depending on availability, they go up or down. But when we book well in advance, we get choice of location. So for us, the location is typically near the main stairwell, which on a lot of the ships is the rear stairwell. You get your choice of floor, you get your choice of category of cabin, your choice of cabin. Yes, we sometimes do the last minute specials as well. There's no right and wrong. Whatever you can do is good. So we just go by whatever's available, and we're always looking out for new deals, new locations, new areas. But with the short ones, it's like a holiday house. So it's, you want to have a holiday, you have a holiday house. Ours, we don't have to drive there. We don't have to cook. We don't have to buy the food, and everything's there.
Everything's all there. Certainly great value for money as well. I think that's what I love about it. You just really don't have to think about much when you're there, which is great.
Correct.
When is your next cruise? When will you be cruising again?
Well, actually, next week we should have been on cruises 99 and 100 in the Greek islands, which is something we were really looking forward to. Failing that, there's still a possibility in August at the Kimberleys, which was one of our other highlight cruises for the year. We still don't know whether that'll go ahead or not, because that's only within Australia. but obviously we'd have to fly to Western Australia and fly back from Northern Territory. And then after that, it's the Posh Cruise in
Yay!
October.
I can't wait. It's going to be such a good time. Well, look, definitely the Greek Islands are on my bucket list to cruise, and the Kimberley. So you've picked some really great itineraries. This is why we love, seeing you get out and about. We almost sort of live through you, which is always great. What cabin category typically do you go for on board, and why? I know you kind of dabbled in that a little bit, but how do you like to cruise when you're on board?
We almost always get a balcony, just about every time. Occasionally we'll get a junior suite. Sometimes we've taken kids and grandkids and we'll get a junior suite just because there's more space for them. We don't go inside cabins, but a lot of our friends do. There's no right and wrong. Inside cabins are a lot cheaper, but having said that, you're never inside your cabin if you're a regular cruiser.
Yeah.
You're outside either taking part in an activity, speaking to people, having a coffee at the piano bar, whatever. So we're hardly ever in our cabins.
Yeah, I think it depends as well. It comes down to the way that you like to travel. A lot of people don't want to spend a whole lot of time, in a cabin, so they typically go for an inside. Whereas I previously, when I was on board, we're in a balcony cabin, and it is, I can't explain. Coming back to the room after a long day, putting your feet up on your balcony and just going, okay, just take a breath, rest up, and then head out again in the nighttime. So I can totally agree with you. But cruising, you can really travel, whichever way you like. So I think
exactly.
That's a really, really, really good thing. What is your favorite cruise line and cruise ship? Do you have a favorite?
Oh, that's a difficult one. My wife, Evie, hers is Celebrity. Up until last year, it was always Celebrity Solstice. But last year we did Celebrity Edge, and that's a revolutionary new ship, which is in the Mediterranean, and that had the magic carpet and the artwork and everything else. The whole ship is just an unbelievable experience. For me, it's Royal Caribbean. I love Royal. We've done the smaller ships, we've done the biggest. We did Oasis just after that was launched, when that was the biggest in the world. We did Harmony 3 years ago when that was launched. We booked that before the ship was built. And that was 6,400 passengers, 2,200 crew. And at the time, that was the biggest ship in the world. Wow. Absolutely loved it. The water slides, everything. It's just so much to do. But, some people don't like the big ships. Some people like the smaller ships. And another one of our favorite lines is Ponards, which is a French boutique small ship. Yep. We've done the La Perouse and other ships of theirs with 260 passengers. So we've gone from 260 to 6,400 passengers, and we've done just about everything in the middle,
which is great. Your favorite destination? Now, it can be somewhere you have traveled, or maybe somewhere that's on your bucket list, and why?
Okay, well, the two of the ones that are on the bucket list are the ones that we've got booked as major holidays, which is Greek Islands and the Kimberleys. But on our last main trip last year, we did the Mediterranean, and that was just amazing. A lot of the ports in the Mediterranean. But having said that, the South Pacific's beautiful, New Zealand's great. It's all about, the cruise and the destination. We love the cruise. So for us, often it's not about the destination, it's about the cruise, the people on the cruise, meeting people, meeting new people, meeting people that you've met before. You get on board. I saw you last time. We bump into people that we've cruised with overseas. So every cruise is different. Every cruise is a cruise.
Yeah. We know how much you love to take part in onboard activities. We always get a nice little taste of that at our POSH Club events. What's your favourite shipboard activity, and on which cruise line?
Oh, there's a lot. We love taking part in trivia, the 60-second challenges. Piano bar's my favourite at night, but that's a nighttime activity. All sorts of other activities. They have fun stuff, pool stuff. They have World's Sexiest Man. They have.
Have you competed in that one?
Oh no, I give other people a chance.
Oh.
They have the International Belly Flop. They have volleyball. They have volleyball where it's guest versus guest, guest versus staff. They have all sorts of fun activities.
Yeah.
They're indoor, like bowls and lawn bowls. And a lot of these things are things that we don't normally take part in on land. So, you know, we're not trivia people on land, but we go on the ship and you're always meeting people. Join us at trivia. Whether you've got your regular crowd, they don't turn up, you meet up with other people. There are so many fun activities that they organise, you know, quoits and, you know, just silly things. But it's just fun to take part in all these activities. You just forget the world, you know, even before COVID. When you're on a cruise, it's just like, I call it an escape from reality. It's just great.
Oh, perfect. Oh, yeah, certainly love it. So, do you have a favorite performance on board? Anything that's really stood out in the ways of shows or?
Yeah, there's a lot of fantastic shows. On Ovation of the Seas, which is in Australian waters, it's their second main show called Pixels. And we've seen that, I won't tell you how many times, but very well documented. I know exactly, and it's a lot. But they have fantastic shows on board. So, for example, on Harmony of the Seas, we had a full production show of Greece. On the Oasis class of ships, which includes Oasis, Harmony of the Seas, the new Symphony of the Seas, at the rear of the ship, they have the equivalent of a Cirque du Soleil into the pool. So you've got a massive diving area where they dive into the pool. All of a sudden, the pool, the water disappears, becomes a stage, and they're performing on there. So there are spectacular shows like that. They bring on guest entertainers, they have production shows, so they're all different. Occasionally you'll see the same production show because you've been on the same ship, but all the various entertainers they bring on board, we've seen so many great ones that we know regularly, Aussie Boys and other artists like that, that, you know, we look forward. There's an Australian In Excess tribute show. They are absolutely brilliant. So when you get on board, you're sort of trying to find out who's on this cruise, which performers, which shows are we going to see.
Yeah. Oh, good. Do you have a most memorable dish on board or a favourite restaurant over your cruising time?
Oh, there'd probably be a couple, but I'll just pick two. One, again, is on Ovation and a lot of the Royal Caribbean ships. It's a restaurant called Wonderland. Obviously, it's themed on Alice in Wonderland. And it's the most amazing dining experience overall. The food's great, the presentation is brilliant, but the whole packaging, everything from the seats and the introduction when you walk in, I don't want to spoil it because if you know what happens, it spoils a lot of the atmosphere. The other one was on the Celebrity Edge. They have a specialty restaurant called Le Petit Chef, where they have images projected down onto the plates.
Table.
So you have it like, onto the plates, onto the table. So you've got a railway running around, this train running around, and you have images of these chefs throwing the meat onto the plate and putting it all together. And then when they turn the light off, the waiters bring out the plates, and it's exactly what you've seen them produce on this video on your plate. That was probably one of the other highlights, apart from, you know, Jamie's and all the other specialty restaurants that are fantastic.
Technology surely has just absolutely taken the cruise line above and beyond. Some of the things that are on board and available to everyone is just, it's spectacular. So that's definitely, Le Petit Chef is definitely on my to try list. You mentioned that you have met a lot of cruise travelers along your way, made some friends. How many, I don't know if you can put a number on it, but, you know, how many people have you met along the way? You know, do you meet up with them? Do you see them? How often do you see them? Let us know what kind of community you've created.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we do, we love meeting people. When we started, one of the other people gave us an idea, which we ran with, and we had our own, I'm not sure if you can see that there, our own cruise cards.
Yep.
With our name, a photo, email address, and mobile number. And so often you meet someone new and you want to write down their email address, and then you get home and you've got 12 of these email addresses, and you go, you know, who was Mary Jane that we met? Where did we meet her? Whereas if you've got the little photo and the contact details, you can be in touch. So we ran with that idea, and so much so that Brett at Ecruising thought a wonderful idea, and as part of being an ambassador for Ecruising, we got Ecruising cards, where we have our same card and Ecruising's details on the flip side. So through that and just through meeting people, we keep in touch with people through Facebook and other means. Within our own local area in Sydney, we've got a group on Facebook that we call ourselves the Diamond Lounge Crowd. And that comes from meeting regular cruisers in the Diamond Lounge on Royal Caribbean. And we meet up regularly off the ship, what we did before Corona. But we meet up regularly off the ship, and, you know, we have video sessions just like this with those people. And one of our good friends who lives around the corner, coincidentally, we met on a cruise ship on the other side of the world when we were doing our Alaskan cruise. And they happen to live around the corner, and we're very good friends with them. So, yeah, so many people. It's great. It's one of the things
I can imagine. It is such a special journey along the way. It's nice to share that and share your love of cruise with them as well.
Yeah.
What's your favourite cruise travel hack that you can share with us?
Well, the number one is the daily planner. In the cabin, Royal Caribbean call it the cruise compass. Other companies call it different things, but every night in your cabin, they leave the program for the next day. So whether you use a yellow highlighter or a pen and circle all the items that are of interest to you, whether it's the trivia, whether it's Captain's Corner, whether it's a cooking demonstration, whatever. You go through and circle all those, because so often we meet people and we say, did you do such? No, how did you know that was on? The shows, circle which of the show you want to go to. Depends obviously on your dining, but there's so many different things that you can go to. And if you don't circle them, if you don't go through your program, you don't know about them.
Yeah.
The shows generally, they're twice a night, the same show. But they don't repeat it during the cruise unless it's a long cruise, then some of the production shows. But the people that they bring on, the entertainers that they bring on board, they'll do 2 shows and that's it. So, you know, you'd say, did you see the Brilliant Pianist or whatever, or show last night? And people will say, no, I didn't know that. So that would have to be the number one tip, to make sure you know what's on and do it.
And plan out your day. I think some people, and like you said, you know, miss a lot of what goes on and aren't aware really of what else is happening around the ship. So, you know, make use of that tool. It's a great tip. Thanks, Robert.
The other one, I suppose, would be just to talk to people. You know, in normal life, if you stand next to someone in a lift, you don't talk to them. If you stand next to someone outside the restaurant, you don't talk to them. Whereas on the cruise, you start talking to people. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you know, they'll give you suggestions. We often give other people suggestions. We love helping new cruisers, because we were a new cruiser once, with suggestions what to do, you know, where things are and so on. So just talk to people and enjoy.
And I've got one more question for you. What is on your must-pack list for cruises, or your advice to cruisers of one essential item that you must pack when you go cruising?
It's amazing the number of people that forget to take travel adapters. The 110 volt and the European and the American adapters. The amount of people that are down at guest services that have forgotten to take the adapters. The 220 volt, which is the European, being closer to our voltage, it'll charge things quicker, but the 100 volt, the US, will work. But definitely take adapters, don't take power boards, don't take hair dryers, they will be confiscated. Don't take your coffee machine, don't take your electric kettle, just take the international adapters. That will be the number one thing. The other suggestion I would give to people, a lot of people aren't aware, is if you want to take US currency, don't buy it on the ship, buy it in advance. Okay. If you're using your credit card, which just 95% of people do, there's the option for the ship to do the conversion or for your bank to do the conversion. Always select option B, which is the bank to do the conversion. You get a much better rate. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. There
you go. Well, look, I've certainly learned a thing or two. Thank you, Robert, so much for your time. It's an absolute pleasure to have you part of our first Fan Friday segment. It is a shame, obviously, about the med trip, but look, fingers crossed, we've got fingers and toes crossed for you for your Kimberley trip. We really can't wait to see where cruising takes you when all of this is over and the cruise ships start up again. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Emily, Brett, and the whole Ecruising team.
Thanks, Robert.
Bye.